Hey everyone, this is John. I'm here live at my residence. I've trimmed up my beard, as you can see. It was just getting kind of itchy and scratchy like it often does. And outside, the neighbors are setting off fireworks because it is now after midnight. New Year's has kicked in. I'm in the process at the same time of uploading some video content. So I'm going to get to talk to everybody and do all that at the same time. What's going to happen as far as the new year goes? Well, there are going to be some changes in the coming weeks or months. You might see somebody else in here besides me. My son is talking about possibly moving in. He's in the process of getting some stuff straightened out. And so I don't know how long he's going to stay, but I told him, "You're welcome to stay as long as you help out with the rent and the bills. That's all I ask. You know, your mom and I have helped you out quite a bit, and I know we could use some help on that end as well." He's out of town right now, but he'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll get things going to help him get his situation straightened out so that he can have a better quality of life than what he's had. Lesson learned from that experience is that sometimes roommates are not all they're cracked up to be, and I'll just leave it there. Some roommates are just downright toxic. That's just the nature of it. I've had some good roommates and I've had some downright bad ones. I had one that when I lived in Baltimore, Cassandra and I had to ask him to move back home. That was her second son. And we had to ask him to move back home to live with his brothers because his alcoholism had gotten out of control. We had to do something. We couldn't just let it slide. You know, it's like, dude, this is beyond our control. You need some help, and it wasn't an easy thing to say, but it had to be done. But enough of that. You know, I recently put up a podcast tonight about the decline of the watch night services that churches used to do in abundance, at least as far back as when I was a young adult up until I was in my mid 40s, I would say even my early 50s. And then after that, the watch night services had pretty much tapered off, and one has to wonder why. And I went over that. Part of it had to do with the decline of church attendance, the aging of the congregations. Some churches chose not to do it because of personal safety reasons, because folks are out there, staying out till past midnight for a watch night service. And then when they get in their cars on the way home, they're now competing with the party people who are exiting the bars. And that's not a very safe environment for anybody. I'm glad to be home tonight. I don't have to worry about being out and about, competing against the party people. I'm safely here at home. Tomorrow is New Year, or I should say, it's now New Year's Day. I will put on my Facebook page, Radio Hill Remembered, the link to YouTube's classic song New Year's Day. It seems to be appropriate for for this particular day of the year, the 1st of January. Friend of mine who has been a very faithful and dedicated moderator on that Facebook page is stepping back. He's got some other issues going on in his life. It's Scott Reppert. Uh, my prayers go out to him. He's had some health struggles over the last few years. I won't go into detail other than that he had a stroke a few years back, and it's been a very long and arduous road to recovery for him. As far as his health goes, but I'm glad to see he's doing things that need to be done so that his quality of life will continue to get better. But the rest of us who follow the page will find stories to tell, music to share. Though I discovered that Facebook kind of put the kibosh on who we can tag on group posts. Basically, we can only tag friends or group members. I used to be able to tag pages of artists or record labels for the simple fact that it helped draw attention to the group. One particular post I shared some years back included the addition to the group of by the band The Romantics, the popular 80s new wave band. And they liked an article that I shared. I tagged them on it, and they're like, "Oh wow, man! Thanks for helping bring us to a newer audience." Hey, I'm all down for that. And especially when Ace Frehley passed away, I tagged him on several of them because he was a big influence on a lot of us who grew up listening to music during the 1970s and 1980s. So you've got that going on too. As far as the members of Kiss was concerned, Ace was always the fan favorite. He wasn't, you know, the front man. He wasn't the bass player who could spit blood out of his mouth. It was actually fake blood, but it was all for gruesome effect. But Ace was probably the more entertaining member of the band. Professor of Rock did quite a few interviews with Ace over the years, and it was sad to see him go. You know, I don't know what everyone else has planned for today. I know there's football games to be watched. I myself will be heading up to spend part of the afternoon with my daughter. That's always a good time. The care, feeding, and navigation of said with a teenage daughter is a learning experience all in itself. I touched on this a while back when she turned 16 and the fun shopping spree that we went on. Everything from Five Below to Walmart to Ulta, and then culminating in the dining experience over in Copan, which was actually awesome. That was a better choice than where we were going to go, which was IHOP. To the Bartlesville IHOP next time. Make sure you've got staff there at the front door. Maybe we'll come back. I was just completely blown away by that. So, what can you do? Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'm also grateful as we go into the new year that the core members of my family are all still around. Both my parents are still very much alive, and their wits are absolutely as sharp as ever. Both my brothers are doing well. Daniel's been doing you know much better since his health issues a few years ago. I'm grateful for that. And there was a discussion that we had, and I'm going to post a podcast on that here in a few minutes. But yesterday I had a conversation with my mom, and it was an interesting one in that it started off as we talked about a package that I received, and unfortunately, the way the mail was over the holidays, it got delayed. Typically, that would not be much of an issue, except that this package had something perishable in it: pepperoni rolls. Anybody who's checking me out tonight and is from West Virginia, especially around the Fairmont area, pepperoni rolls are a staple of northern West Virginia cuisine, especially given its origins in the coal mining communities in the northern part of the state, especially up around Morgantown, Clarksburg, Fairmont. I grew up in Fairmont, and there were definitely lots of pepperoni rolls to be enjoyed. Country Club Bakery makes some excellent ones, but what we discovered was because of the delays in mail, those poor pepperoni rolls did not survive the trip. I opened the package, and next thing I know, oh no, I felt really bad for mom because I know she put a lot of effort into getting those for me. And for the mail to delay like it did, those poor pepperoni rolls just did not survive. They were inedible unless you're a raccoon. Well, the raccoons are probably feasting on them right now because they were covered with mold and not much you can do about that. You know, but hey, it was worth the effort. Mom, I love you. You know, I'm glad we had a chance to talk today, especially what we talked about concerning artificial intelligence. And and for those who follow my podcast, I will be posting that episode up shortly before I go to bed. So I'm not going to spoil that, but let's just say that my position on AI is I proceed with caution. And I was asked about that because a lot of my content is AI generated. I do a lot of AI short videos, which some of which get a lot more attention than any of the podcasts or longer format videos I do. And I think that it's a fickle algorithm. You never know from one minute to the next uh, what people are going to find appealing and what they're not. It's just a strange thing. Oh, hard to believe too that it's almost been a year, and that's why it's kind of hit me a little hard too. If anybody had clicked on this a year ago, there would have been somebody else in this live stream. My girlfriend Cassandra, though she wasn't one who wanted to have her face on camera. She always liked to be behind the scenes, very protective of her privacy. And she was also dealing with some serious health issues. You know, and going from being just, the boyfriend and the significant other to, being a caregiver, it's very challenging and very stressful. And it's a miracle that I was able to balance all that over those last several months, balancing work, trying to take care of her, dealing with both my kids. Yeah, it took a lot out of me, and I persevered, and then last year on the 10th, the that wonderful chapter of our lives came to a abrupt and sudden end. Yeah, I do miss her. I miss her every day. I think anyone who's known the two of us for all these years can attest to that. That you know she was a big part of my life for a long time, and as I told mom today, we had a great run. I just wish we could have had a longer run, but but God allows things to happen for a reason, and sometimes it's not for us to know. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm not going to bore everybody to death, and I'll leave the live stream up. So if anybody wants to view it later, they can. But I want to wish anybody who stumbles upon this Happy New Year. This is John, and I will talk to you later. Have a good night and Happy New Year.